Hi guys, Brian, W3CP here. In this video I wanted to show one way to set up SDR Console v2 to synchronize with an external rig. The diagram shown on the screen gives you a basic view of the setup and that'll be used by this operator in his system. There's a SDR dongle, of course controlled by SDR Console, and that's used exclusively for receive functions. And the transmit path will be through a conventional rig that we would like to synchronize with the SDR dongle. The Omnirig package is used as the interface between SDR Console v2 and the rig, so we're going to configure that to as radio 1. Omnirig can support multiple clients, so JT65 HF will also obtain the rig frequency and mode information from Omnirig. In SDR Console v2, we'll use the external radio feature to control the rig. As far as providing CAT information to additional clients, we're going to use the external serial port feature on SDR Console, and that will basically provide emulate a Kenwood rig and provide CAT information to additional external programs. So in this case, WSJTX and the N3FJP logging software. Both are configured to use virtual serial port cables to talk to SDR Console v2. Let's take a look at the audio setup. This diagram gives the overview of the audio flow in the system. The receive path is the SDR dongle to the SDR Console v2 application. Audio from the VFO is fed out to a virtual audio cable, which is then connects to each one of the digital mode programs that this operator is going to use: WSJT, JT65HF, and WSJTX. In addition, if you want to monitor the received audio, you can use the audio repeater applet to repeat the audio from VAC line 1 to the system speaker. On the transmit path, just like in a normal setup, your audio goes to in this case, a signal link, basically a playback device in the computer, and that's used to drive the rig. Let's take a look at some of the setup details that we have in the system. The first thing to take a look at is the virtual serial port emulator, or VSPE configuration. This is an app by EtherLogic, and it is free. There's two virtual cables set up, 2 pairs. The configuration is actually saved to a configuration file that's on the drive, and once you set up your cables, you can save the configuration, and then you can modify the shortcut to start the app to include that configuration file, so that when you launch it, it'll automatically load your configuration and begin the virtual serial port emulation. Let's take a look at the SDR Console configuration. In SDR Console, we're going to use the external radio feature to do the rig synchronization. It relies on the Omnirig package to actually interface with the rig. In this case, I've set up rig 1 as an FT950. It's on COM1 at 38400. I've enabled the synchronization of frequency and mode in both directions, so you can tune the rig or tune an SDR and it'll follow. On the transmit tab, these are good options to set because when you're transmitting, it'll mute the audio and lower the waterfall level. The audio output here for VFOA is selected as virtual audio cable number 1 instead of the system speakers, so that's how you get the audio to the digital programs. The VAC setup is pretty standard. Limited sample rate range and limited bits per sample range. I mean, basically these programs all use the same mode, so you don't need to provide a lot of range. The milliseconds per interrupt is pretty low on this system. It's relatively slow, so I had to keep it low to avoid too many overflows and underflows. The other thing to check out here in SDR Console is the external serial port configuration. 2 ports, ports 5 and 7, are configured to emulate CAT. So these will basically emulate a Kenwood rig on those virtual serial port cables. COM5 and 7 are basically the left side of these 2 virtual serial cables that I've defined. JT65HF is configured to receive audio. Well, first let's take a look at rig control. So rig control is Omnirig Radio 1, and the audio is virtual VAC line 1, and the transmit is the signal link. WSJTX is configured to talk to a Kenwood rig on COM8, so that's one of the virtual cables that we set up. If you take a look at the virtual cables, COM7 and 8 are a pair. COM7 is the endpoint controlled by SDR Console. On the audio setup, audio in is VAC line 1 and the output is signal link TX. WSJT does not have CAT control, but we're using the, again, input 2 and 7. So input 2 is VAC line 1, and output 7 is signaling TX. So you're, again, using VAC for receive and a regular sound card interface for transmit. By the way, this is Windows 7, so in Windows 7 you can rename your audio devices. So I renamed the signal link input and output to signal link TX and signal link RX to give them more descriptive names. Finally, when I wanted to show the synchronization of the CAT information across the various programs, so you see all the digital programs here as well as the N3FJP logger, and as you change frequency and mode, the programs will track. So right now I'm on 6 meters CW at 50.260. I just changed back to sideband, and now I went to 10 meters sideband and then 10 meters CW. So it's tracking frequency and mode information is being passed all the way through to the logging program. The digital programs don't care about the mode, but the frequency, of course, is useful for PSK reporter or reverse beacon network spotting. So that's pretty much it. I hope you found this video helpful and informative. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop me a line. My email address is good on qrz.com. Thanks, guys. 73.